it's okay not to always feel like you're filled with happiness, love, and peace. That it's okay to fall into a lower vibration sometimes. It's okay and necessary to allow yourself to be human. We do not need to pretend that we are not human. This is the Energy Within podcast, all about accessing, nurturing, and building your energy and confidence so that you can get unstuck and design your life the way you want. My name is Carrie Jokala. I am your host. I am a Reiki master, a fitness instructor, a wife, a mom to 2 little boys, and this is episode 98. And I'm back to saying the numbers of the episodes because we are finally through a long stretch of interviews with some solo episodes sprinkled in the middle, but I kept them mostly in the order that I recorded them, but I also didn't know when I was going to throw in a solo episode, and I wanted to leave that open, so that's why I stopped saying numbers. But we're saying numbers now, especially because we're almost to 100 episodes. This is so cool, and I know I say this a lot, but I really am so grateful for you being here for this podcast, for this journey, and I hope that you're continuing to find value and help and inspiration from this. So before I jump into today's topic, which is going to be all about what it really means to have a high vibration and what that might actually look like, I want to let you know about a couple things. So, of course, you already know that I want to invite you to come do a Reiki session with me. I'm still working on creating the packages. So I took the next step and I emailed the scheduling app that I use to figure out how I can allow you to pay once but select multiple appointments. Because for some reason I can't find an answer for that in their frequently asked questions section. So I'm waiting for a response. Hopefully they get back to me soon, and hopefully the answer is that is possible. Otherwise, I'll have to figure out another way. I'm sure there's a way to do it. People do it all the time, but I'm new to all of this tech stuff. I'm not techie. But I did finally get up a page for you to go and purchase just a card reading from me. So you'll find that link in the show notes. It's also in my Instagram bio. If you don't do that now and you happen to see me on Instagram and you're like, oh, hey, where was that link? It's in my Instagram bio as well. And when you go to that page, you'll find an option for either a 3-card spread or a 7-card spread. They'll essentially tell you the same thing. The 3-card is going to be where you were, where you are, and where you're headed in 1 card each. The 7-card spread is going to allow a little bit more detail, a little bit more information, nothing super specific as far as if maybe you've gotten tarot readings done before. Tarot gets really into the details. Oracle cards are more of like a big picture kind of thing, but more cards will give you more detail, more clarity regarding, in this particular spread, 4 cards to show you where you are, 3 cards to show you the path that you're on, and then 1, potentially 2 cards if I feel like we need a clarifier that shows you the outcome of that path that you're currently on. So what's nice about the extra detail in that 7-card spread is that there's the potential for the where you are and even the where you're headed to show you some things that you might need to work on. I recently did something that I had never thought of. Someone brought it up to me and asked me to come in and do it, and it was so much fun, and I'm so open to doing it again. So if you're local to me, let me know. Or we could also do something over Zoom. Actually, everything's so virtual today. You know what? If you're not local and you think that you want to do something like this, let me know too. Reach out to me because maybe we can do it over Zoom. Why not? I essentially did like a home party, but not in the way you would think. I didn't come in to promote anything. I came in to do 7-card oracle readings for everybody. And it was so much fun. And it was so cool to see all of the spot on information that came up in all of these readings. And what was extra, I guess, exciting, for lack of a better word for me, was the guidance that came up in these spreads. Because in looking at where you are, especially when you have more information looking at you in that bigger spread, there's a potential that you're going to have to face up to something that you maybe know is going on, but you haven't really wanted to deal with. But these cards are going to confirm that, yeah, it's affecting you. You're going to need to do something about this. And depending on what other cards come up, you could also get some answers on how to respond, how to handle whatever this thing is that you've been dealing with. So it could be your introduction to shadow work, which I will talk more about because it is something I want to start incorporating into what I do, in addition to the cord cuttings and just the straight Reiki sessions, because I think it is going to be helpful because it's helping me. I've only done a couple sessions with my friend Jess, who you heard last week on the podcast, but it's been helping so much. My energy feels so different. So different. It's amazing. Like, I feel lighter. I feel clearer. And the thing is, I've got some kind of a block apparently around leading others through shadow work. I want to do it, but I have this almost like when I thought I was going to go down the life coaching path and I started to do that, but I always had a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of imposter syndrome about being the leader in that situation. And I don't know why. But I feel like that's coming up with the shadow work because somehow I must have some association there. So maybe I have to do some shadow work around leading people through shadow work. But anyway, I also don't recall if I mentioned it on the podcast or not, but I know I just mentioned cord cuttings a second ago, and I have not done a podcast on cord cutting, which I might still do down the road. But if you want to know more about what a cord cutting is and how it can help you, I did a Facebook Live inside the Facebook group. So if you're not already in that group, I invite you to jump in there. You can find that video pinned to the top. If you click on the announcements, it'll be one of the first videos that you should see in there. And of course, the link is in the show notes. There was also just recently the new moon over the weekend and the peak of what's known as the Lion's Gate portal. Now, I am completely brand new to this Lion's Gate thing. I've learned more about what the moon phases mean in regards to the new moon and the full moon, manifesting, releasing, but I'd never heard of this Lion's Gate before. And apparently it does happen every year. It falls on 8/8 or comes around 8/8. Peaks on 8/8, something like that. See, this is new to me. But basically, it's a heightened time for manifestation. Like the energy, the light codes that are pouring in, everything is like filled to the brim. And I have definitely been feeling that when I led. So this is what I want to invite you into first. So you can still take advantage of that energy because apparently it goes through the 12th. So if you're listening to this before the 12th, you can take advantage. But even still, you can go in and do the manifesting meditation and receive the Reiki that I did this past Sunday on that peak of the Lionsgate portal. So that video is also pinned in the announcements in the Facebook group. So if you go and watch that, give me a hashtag replay so that I know that you saw it. Let me know any questions, give me feedback. Let me know if you want to share anything that you felt or experienced during it. I know some women messaged me immediately afterwards that they had some big emotional releases. There were some tears. There were some hands on fire, like feeling really strong heat in the hands. So if you have anything that you want to share after watching that video and receiving that Reiki, let me know because I love to hear it. But what was weird is I had such trouble sleeping that night. And usually I'm so relaxed after doing Reiki, and I was, but for some reason, it must be something to do with this Lionsgate portal, because I was just like coursing with energy. Not where I wanted to necessarily go run around and do stuff, but I just could not fall asleep. And then I realized I had a headache, and I never get headaches. And then I found out a couple other of my friends who also do Reiki also had a headache, or even as far as a migraine. So there was some wonky energy going on. And then the day after was a good day, but I was just so discombobulated, and I got some stuff done, but I just could not focus. And it was so weird because I had so much time to myself and I wanted to take advantage of it. And I guess in some ways that I did, because I was relaxing and I need some of that, but I also need to get stuff done. Mama ain't got time outside of her kid free time, which doesn't happen often. But anyway, I've been babbling long enough. So let's chat about where I kind of left off actually at the end of that Lionsgate video in the group. I wanted to talk a little bit about what it means to have a high vibration, what that really looks like, and what your expectations should be. Now, if you've been following this podcast pretty much since the beginning, you might know that back in the beginning, when this was called Rockstar Confidence, I recorded an episode about what it means to have confidence. And I forget exactly which episode it would be. And I know I've mentioned it, at least mentioned this topic a few times over the course of many episodes. But essentially, when it comes to confidence, there's no end game. There's no final level of confidence that you'll one day reach and have infinite confidence where no one can ever shake you, and you'll just be this high vibe rock star with no more room to grow, nothing else to work on, and always in a good mood, always happy. That's just not realistic. What really happens is that it's a fluid journey. So you can reach higher and higher levels of confidence, but you're still human, and you'll still have moments that shake you, catch you off guard, trigger things, make you feel bad about yourself, make you start to question yourself. It's just normal. Where you see evidence of the work that you've put in to reach that higher level of confidence is that when those things do happen, you're able to process through them and shake them off quicker. So the process through them line is probably the most important part of that. You want to process through them. You want to allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, to be human, and ideally transmute whatever you're feeling back into that confidence, back into love, back into light, all of that good stuff. And you want to do it as quickly as possible, but without sweeping anything under the rug or pretending like it didn't bother you. So that's the important part, is not to just pretend that you're okay as quick as possible. It's to process through it and get back to your new normal state of confidence as quickly as possible. And depending on what happens to you that shook you, it could be a few minutes, it could be half a day, it could be a week, it could be a month. But the important thing is that you're not staying there. You stay there as long as you need, but you recognize when it's time to bring it to an end, when you're finally facing up to and working through the feelings rather than just sitting with them. Hopefully that makes sense. I feel like it probably did, but then sometimes, hey, I question myself too. But here's the thing. So now that I'm in this Reiki energy work space, the term is high vibration, raise your vibration. And it's essentially the same thing. I wouldn't say exactly, but confidence is going to come along with having a higher vibration. And what do you do to raise your vibration? Really, you do things that bring you joy. So that could be going to work out. That could be singing, dancing, playing with your kids, going for a walk, meditating, putting on some essential oils. It's a personal thing, and there's so many different things that you can do to raise your vibration. Part of raising your vibration also involves letting go so that things aren't weighing you down. It involves what I've been working on and what you heard me and Jess talk about in the last podcast, finding the balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. But it involves really letting go, trusting your intuition, and allowing things to be as they are. If you're setting your intention for manifesting, it's remembering that it's always this or something better. But here's the thing. So at the end of the Lionsgate video, and actually during the meditation, we focused on our future selves being filled with happiness, love, peace, all good things. And I didn't go on because it was late and I wanted to wrap up the video because I know I had started the video later than intended because my youngest just would not go to sleep. And then I wanted to go to bed because I thought I was going to sleep right away. But I wanted to make sure, so that's why I'm recording this as the podcast now. I wanted to make sure that you know that it's okay not to always feel like you're filled with happiness, love, and peace. That it's okay to fall into a lower vibration sometimes. It's okay and necessary to allow yourself to be human. We do not need to pretend that we are not human. You don't need to deny yourself in that sense of pretending that there's something wrong with you being human, with you feeling your human emotions, with you having a moment where you doubt yourself, where you doubt the process, where you're feeling sad or frustrated. You're a soul having a human experience for a reason. So there's nothing wrong with the human side of you. It's just as important as the spiritual part of you. It's as important as your soul. It's as important as your emotions and your mind. So just because you fall into a low vibration for a time doesn't mean that you've failed, that you're doing something wrong, and that you'll never be high vibe again. Just like the confidence thing, allow yourself to process through whatever you're going through and just make sure you don't stay there. There's no guidelines for how long you should or shouldn't stay there. You know when it feels about right. Just as long as you're not pretending that everything's okay when it's not. That's going to affect your vibration. That's when you won't really be in as high vibe as a state as you might think you are. And that is where things like Reiki, cord cuttings, shadow work, and even the card pulls to give you that clarity, to point you in the direction of what you need to face up to, all of those things can be helpful to help you process through that. So the main thing is, I just don't want you to feel ever like you have failed or you've done something wrong because you're not always high vibration. I am not always high vibration. I have moments where I'm frustrated, where I'm upset, angry, irritated, sad, normal human emotions. I just don't always show up on social media when I'm feeling that way. Not because I want to hide it, but because especially with what I'm doing now, I want to show up with a certain energy so that I'm presenting my best possible self, my real self, but my best possible self to help make a connection, to help be able to lead you through the things you need to go through. But if you read my posts, I'll share my story with you, definitely, because I've been on a long journey. I'm still on a journey. I just feel like since I've started this Reiki journey, things are accelerating much faster in a positive way. And I almost kind of feel like I'm returning to my original self, who I really am and who I am supposed to be. And that's what I want for you. That's my mission, is to help you raise your vibration and remember, not find, remember who you are and why you're here. Because you already know. Your soul knows because you're here for a reason. You are. Don't fight me on it. You'll never convince me otherwise. You are here for a reason. And you don't have to have that reason fully figured out. You have to start somewhere. So I don't mean to launch into passion, purpose coaching right now. But I do just want to tell you that whatever it is you're seeking, wherever you're struggling with finding what your purpose is, you got to just start somewhere. Just start with something. Even if you're not sure if it's exactly it, because you can always change. I started this podcast thinking that I was going to be a confidence coach. So everything was about confidence. Everything led to trying to build up coaching clientele. And that's how I started to grow the podcast, to grow a Facebook group that now has 300 people in it, which is amazing to me. I've never had a group with that many people in it. And then I found Reiki and I started that journey. And I slowly started to talk about that and seed that into what my content was, what the direction was. And then when I finally kind of had a breakthrough, really started what I would call my spiritual awakening, I realized that the way I tie everything together, everything that I do, the Reiki, the fitness, meditations, all of that stuff, the way I tie it together is with the energy work idea. So that's when I really started getting focused in on the energy within and directing all the content to teaching you about energy work, about your vibration, about all the stuff that we've been talking about since the beginning of this year, really. And it's helped me get more engagement, more visibility, create more connections with all of you. And I really think I wouldn't be as far along with all of that as I am now if I hadn't just started down that confidence coach path. I only got so far with that. I didn't get very far at all, and I wasn't consistent. At least I was consistent with posting the podcast, but pretty much everything else, I wasn't as consistent. I wasn't as focused because I didn't know what the end goal was. Now I do. Or at least part of it. It's still changing and evolving, but it's easier now because I just started. So that's what my advice is to you. If you're feeling lost, if you're feeling stuck, just start somewhere. Just start. And then that's how you learn. And that's when you open up the possibility for new opportunities because your vibration is going to rise and the law of attraction is going to go to work. God's going to give you those opportunities when you're ready for them. So you can't just sit around and wait. You got to start somewhere. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to jump into the Energy Within Facebook group and ask me there. You can send me a DM on Instagram. I think I see those quicker than I do Facebook, but either one is fine. But I prefer Instagram for some reason. Facebook group and then Instagram page. If you would like some guidance and some help on this journey, please come do a Reiki session with me. If you're interested in one of the card readings, follow the link. Go ahead and book. And the one thing I hadn't mentioned yet that I'll mention here is that this is essentially in beta right now. It's my first time setting up a page like this and essentially an email sequence like this. So please be patient with me. If you're okay with working through any potential hiccups, it should be fine. It should be fine. But if you're one of the first people to book a card reading, which is all done via email, this is my first time running it this way, so bear with me. You should receive an email right away or very quickly where you can respond and let me know if you have a specific situation or topic that you would like the card pull done around. I can definitely give you a general card pull, but I can give you more detail and tune in and help interpret the cards a little bit better if you have at least a topic. You don't have to tell me any details that you don't want me to know. You don't have to get super personal with me, but at least if there's a topic, it can help me to interpret why some of the cards have come up a little bit easier. So you should get that email. If you book a session and you don't see that email, please send me a message on either Facebook or Instagram and let me know so that I can figure out where it's not working. But it should work. It should work. I appreciate your patience and your grace in working through this little beta situation with me. Ideally, what I wanted to do was have a spot for you to put your topic in the form when you purchase the card reading, but I couldn't figure out how to do that. So I'm still working on that because that would be the ideal situation. But for now, just to get it up and running, this is how I have it set up. So I appreciate you working with me on that. If you enjoyed this episode, if you found it helpful, please share it. Take a screenshot, do a screen flow and grab some audio, share it to your social media, tag me and let me know what was helpful and what you might have questions on. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.